All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining our LeagueApps Live Level Up webinar today. Super excited to have everyone here and to share some amazing information in regards to our integrations platform as well. So today we're going to be looking at simplify your player evaluations using TeamGenius. And we're having some great conversations and some insight and even some demos around some of those features as well. I'll be hosting and facilitating this event. My name is Robert Bennett, your customer success trainer and enablement specialist here at LeagueApps. And before we get started, I just want to go over a few kind of logistics in regards to using the Zoom webinar controls. As you're joining as participants, you won't have access to a microphone or a camera, but you'll still be able to interact with us in many ways. So you'll be able to use the chat to have conversations amongst other participants and ourselves, and also a dedicated Q&A section to ask questions throughout the presentation. Throughout the presentation, we will also be sharing links and resources, so look out for that within the chat window as well. And keep in mind, this training will be recorded and be available later end of day. So you'll be able to watch this recording at a later time. And also we will have a dedicated time towards the end of the presentation for any questions as well. So we'll leave a chance for our participants to have questions and continue a conversation with our panelists today. So going through our agenda for today, we're going to be looking at really quickly a LeagueApps overview, along with TeamGenius integration, and also learning more about how to simplify your player evaluations, and a great conversation that we're going to have with Southern Minnesota Soccer Club, Select Soccer, along with TeamGenius and LeagueApps, and learning how all those kind of elements work together. And we're going to finish it off as well with a demo of the TeamGenius integration. And again, we'll have some time at the end of the presentation for Q&A. Also, we want to just kind of start by giving a quote that we really are passionate about within LeagueApps, and it's a quote that we really live by. And it runs, and it's a quote by Nelson Mandela. Sport has the power to change the world. It also has the power to inspire, has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. It speaks to youth in a language that they understand. And sport can create hope where there once was despair. It is more powerful than government in bringing down racial barriers, and it brings and it lasts in the face of all types of discrimination. Now, this quote impacts everything we do, from our product to our culture, our customers, and our partners. Now, these are some of the key differentiators what makes LeagueApps separate from our competition. One is our comprehensive capabilities. So no other platform gives you the ability to manage your operations, both on and off the field, and integrations with as many third-party tools. We also focus on revenue growth. We make it easy to configure everything, helping you meet parents where they are, collect more fees, and generate additional revenue. We also have a championship customer service where we prioritize same-day customer support, and we're there to guide you through program setup, and we help you grow and scale your business. We also have a professional community where we run Next Up, the industry's only community for youth sports management, giving you the tools you need to play to win, and a change-making contributions. So we donate 1% of our revenue through our Fun Play program, so athletes in underserved communities have access to sports. Now, I really want to run really quickly in regards to some of our products and some of the offerings that we have for today. Now, with our LeagueApps, we have our youth sports management platform. We offer a robust youth sports management solution that helps provide registrations, payments, and communications all in one system. We also offer a free mobile app allowing administrators to communicate, update schedules, RSVPs, and even more. And of course, we partner with industry's leading apps and services, helping to provide helping you to improve your member experience, streamline your operations, as well as grow and diversify your revenue streams. We collect with hundreds of integrations, allowing you to connect what is needed most for your club. Now, we'll look at a little bit more inside about TeamGenius. One of the integrations that we seamlessly connect with is TeamGenius, which allows us to run your player evaluations even more effectively. Now, before I get started today, I have a great team of people who will be kind of going through some of those elements within TeamGenius and LeagueApps. We have Chris Bowen from TeamGenius, Director of Sales and CS. We also have Rick Rhone, Southern Minnesota Select Director of Operations, and Annie Gavitt, LeagueApps Senior Marketing Manager. Now, Chris runs sales and customer success at TeamGenius. Chris is a former soccer coach that's been working in the youth sports industry since 2009. He also has his degree in sports psychology. Now, Rick runs and helps run a soccer club out of Minnesota called Southern Minnesota Select Soccer, a female-only youth soccer club founded in 2019. This year, the club will have 11 athletes moving on to play college soccer. Super exciting. Now, the club only has 65 athletes, and 4 of those athletes will be playing D2 soccer. Rick is the director of operations and for the club, and has been coaching for 22 years at the club, high school, and college level. And Annie runs LeagueApps marketing efforts to help get organizations on board. Prior to LeagueApps, Annie worked as a director of ops at McLean Soccer Club and a handful of other clubs and facilities. So she is very familiar with the tryout process. So in that, we're going to hand it off to Annie to kind of begin those great conversations around some of the sports genius integrations and also the Southern Minnesota Select Soccer and some of the operations behind that. So Annie, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Robert, for the intro and for the great setup here. And thanks, Rick and Chris, for joining us today. So yes, tryouts, the all-encompassing, really difficult thing to accomplish in our day-to-day routines here. So I kind of wanted to start this off, with you, Rick. Can you just kind of explain how your tryout process works at Southern Minnesota Select? I understand that you kind of approach it a little bit differently than how other clubs in the space do.
We kind of varied away from the traditional one-day tryout or hour and a half or 2-hour tryout and stuff. So our tryouts are based off of 2-day tryouts. They're 90 minutes to 120-minute tryouts each day. The first day of tryouts is technical training only. Basically, we run them through a series of passing, shooting, defending drills, whatever we feel that we need to do. So the first day of tryouts is basically all technical stuff. The second day of training is we'll warm them up, and then we actually put them on the field 11v11, and we want to see what they can do on the field. I mean, some days it doesn't translate from the technical to actually the tactical. So we want to see what they can do both ways. It also gives the athletes an opportunity that if they do have one bad day of tryouts and stuff, that they have a second opportunity to come in and show us what they have. So we kind of do things a little bit different than most clubs do. We like to break the traditional mold.
I love that. And have you seen that be much more successful for you over the years? And have you always done it this way, or was there kind of some, catalyst moment that you were like, oh, we're missing out on great talent because maybe they did have that bad first day of tryouts? And have you found this to be also better for, all types of sports, or just kind of for soccer in general?
I can't say for both, for multiple sports, if other sports have done it. I think it would be a good idea for other sports and stuff to have that technical first day and then a tactical second day. I find for us, we got into it because of our past experiences of with prior clubs that we've been with and stuff, that they're missing out on some hidden gems that, they may not be the best technically, but tactically they're very sound and stuff. So we also found that if you just collected a team of 18 players, the 18 best players, when you put them on the field together, that doesn't always work. So we found that if we, add in, there's one thing that we can't coach, and that's chemistry. So sometimes that chemistry doesn't show until that second day. And we also found that if somebody does have a bad first day, they don't they don't stress about coming in and stressing about it as much on the second day. Nowadays the youth have so many stress factors in their life. They're overstimulated with all the information they have access to. So we try to take the pressure off them, just throwing it into one 90-minute cycle and then saying, you have 90 minutes to show us your best, and then we're going to make a decision off that. So we've broke it up into 2 days, and we found that the athletes coming in that second day are much more relaxed, and when they're relaxed, they don't try to do stuff that they're not used to doing, and they don't push themselves out of their comfort zone.
I really like that. I feel like it really gives them a chance to really show what they're best at, whether it's technical, tactical, or maybe it's just, the secret sauce, finding that chemistry. So kind of speaking on chemistry, we have this great relationship, with you all, with TeamGenius, and, with LeagueApps, and in general, and kind of speaking with you earlier, you all are a very tech forward club. So, how did you all decide? Have you always been tech forward? Did you come to that recently? And how do LeagueApps and TeamGenius kind of fit into your whole scope of software that you use?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up there for a little bit. I apologize.
Oh, my fault. Technology here. So, no, I was just saying, you all are very tech forward, club. And, I think that's what, a great, chemistry that we have going here between, LeagueApps, you all, and TeamGenius. How did you all kind of come to that decision to really, use technology, to help further your business?
My primary job is in technology and stuff. So, so for me, it was an easy transition to do so. We actually onboarded with TeamGenius before we moved over to LeagueApps and stuff. When we came on board with TeamGenius and stuff, I really liked the way that they presented the evaluation process, and the way their software kind of benefited us. That you can use it on a mobile device during tryouts, or you can go back to a more traditional method and use paper. We kind of use a blended method when we use it for our tryouts and stuff. And then I actually met the TeamGenius people at a LeagueApps function at the soccer coaches convention and stuff. And then it took me about a year after, being at that LeagueApps meeting and stuff, in order to move over to the technology. I just like the way that LeagueApps handles all of our internal workings and stuff better than the software that we were on before and stuff. I found it more financially beneficial for us, especially being a very small club. And then, it's just, it's worked great, for the last year of us being on LeagueApps now, and then TeamGenius. I think this is going on our third year with TeamGenius.
So, before, TeamGenius, and then also eventually onboarding to LeagueApps, what was life like before having TeamGenius and running tryouts? Like, what were some of the hiccups? What was life like?
We were very Excel spreadsheet oriented. like like everybody else prior was, that they are either prior or they're still doing and stuff. You build out your criteria on the Excel spreadsheet, and you have all the athletes' names on it and stuff, and you just try to make your way down the spreadsheet. What I like about TeamGenius is I can break it into pools. I can have a pool of 15 athletes, and then I can print out the pool. And then the way we specifically do it is we move our athletes from, we keep them together as a pool, and we move them from station to station to station. And in order to keep our coaches focused on what the athletes are doing and stuff, we provide them with paper copies of the pool. And then they can go through and then they make annotations on that pool. And then as they get a new pool, our administrators will come up and they will present the coach with that new pool. So they get a new pool, and that coach will then give the papers to the administrators, and they go back to the computer during the sessions, and they input the scores that the coaches give them. So the coach just has a sheet, and they just circle the number that they feel that the athletes has, and then they make any other annotations that they noted for that player. And then they give it back to our assistants or administrators and stuff. So in between sessions, all the scores are being inputted. So we have all the scores available to us after day one. Then we have all the scores available to us day two. And then we don't have to worry about tabulating in the following days. So we have everything. After day two, we pretty much have all the scores inputted and stuff. And then we can sit down as a coaching staff and then start to, decipher out which players are best for each team.
For sure. So it sounds like it really helped not only like organize, but really expedite the process for review, which I know is so important and timely when it comes to the tryout process and also the general eval process as well. So I definitely, we have our man from Genius here, Chris, on here. So I definitely want to give him a little bit of space to ask some questions as well. So Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Annie, and I always appreciate the kind words, Rick. It's always quite interesting from my side that we speak with some clubs and people like yourself, Rick, very progressive, even having an Excel spreadsheet in place before coming across TeamGenius, because we do work with a number of organizations that go, here's 200 pieces of paper, let's try and tabulate it. Or even worse, some organizations go, hey, we just do the C&I test, and yes, Annie's a great athlete, let's make her an offer. I guess with you having used the software for a number of years, and not just for tryouts, Rick, are there any other areas that maybe TeamGenius has helped you just in terms of better understanding, like what can we learn about our athletes, or what information can we maybe provide our staff and coaches?
For staff and coaches, it's a lot easier for them to go through and do the quick evaluations and stuff. We use it for our mid-season evaluations. We're in the process of working on our end-of-season evaluations now. We use it for our college ID camp and our tryouts and stuff. That way, we find that the having it pooled off is really, really nice, and then we can present the pools to the college coaches at our college ID camp and stuff, saying, here are the athletes in the session that you're looking at now. Because we have college coaches that come in and actually teach the sessions, and then we have college coaches that come in and just watch the sessions and stuff. So we present the pool to the coaches at that session and say, okay, this is the athletes that you have here. And it's nice that we can associate a picture, the number of the bib that they're wearing for the tryouts and stuff. And then we give them space on those forms, or you provide us the space on those forms for them to write in any other remarks that they have about the athlete and stuff. But for coaches, it's really simple to use. I mean, you can set up your criteria however you want to set it up. And then we use a simple 0.5 method, and we go 1 to 5. So you have 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, all the way up to 5 and stuff. And then you just pick it, and then we allow our coaches to add remarks into each of the sections and stuff. So it's very simple for them to add it in. And then at the end of the season, we email off all of our evaluations to the parents and stuff, so they can see exactly where we think that their athlete is at, and where we think that they can go for next season, which comes in handy for us because part of our registration process for tryouts is stuff. You have to register for tryouts, but if you're physically unable to make it and you're a prior athlete and stuff, we can go back to that evaluation that we have on the athlete, and we can factor it into their into the tryout.
I'm curious on that side, when you're sharing this information with the player and parent, how well is that received by either? Because I can imagine it could be a little bit challenging if a parent maybe disagrees, or is it better to get that out there and be upfront with them?
I'm notoriously famous for being honest. So I don't like to beat around the bush. I like to just tell the athletes. So the mid-season evaluation is done player coach, and we have both coaches available. Me and my assistant coach are there when we're providing the feedback to the athletes and stuff. And I just, I'm perfectly upfront. Nobody gets a 5. Nobody gets a 5. If I give you a 5, that means you have no room for growth. You've maxed out. You've peaked. I coach the team I coach this year is U16 athletes. There's not a single 5 on that team. So, and even when it comes down to competitiveness or team player communication and stuff, that everybody has room for growth. So nobody gets a 5. And I tell them straight up, nobody gets a 5, because then I don't want them to feel that that's it. That's their cap. They have no room to grow and stuff. I want them to grow as individuals, and as well as I want them to grow as players. So nobody gets a 5. And then I'm like, this is where I see you right now. I see you at a 3.5, but you perhaps your first touch needs works, and you have to really work on your decision making and stuff. So this is where I see you, but by the end of the season, this is where I think I can see you. And then at the end of my evaluation with the player, I just say, do you have any questions for me? Do you disagree with anything that I've written here? And none of them, I've yet to have a player say, no, I disagree with you and stuff. But, I find that being honest with them is the best policy and stuff. And as far as the parents coming back to me, I haven't had a parent come back to me, but if they do, then I'll be like, okay, well, I have 22 years of experience at the club, high school, and college level. If you think that you have more experience than me, well, we can discuss this, and then I'll discuss it with them. But I'm not always right, and I can be swayed, but I try to be fair with my evaluations and stuff. I'm not overly harsh with a player because of who they are and stuff, or their playing style and stuff. I try to call it pretty straight up, and then I have my assistant coach to call me out on it if she thinks I'm being unfair with a player and stuff.
All right. I think one thing that's interesting, and not every club does this like you do with Southern Minnesota Select, Rick, is just that the dialogue between like the coach, the parent, and the player. I mean, if I go back, and I want to age myself a fair bit here, but like when I went to tryouts for evaluations, there was no feedback shared. It was purely, you either get a yes, you're joining the team, or no, you're not. And there's a lot of parents that may have paid a lot of money to participate in a program and simply just don't have that idea of like, hey, is my kid making that next step, or what even is that next step? And particularly with some of these larger clubs that can have thousands and thousands of players, there's definitely a distinct lack of a personal touch just with that. I guess my next question is more posed to Annie. Annie, you've been the director of operations at McLean. I mean, I know, large club. I mean, operationally wise, how challenging was organizing the tryouts for so many hundreds of players?
May was always a very difficult month for us. We ran tryouts, in like the May to early June timeframe. McLean has a little over 3,000 players, about 2,000 of those are rec, 1,000 to 1,100, give or take a year, is on the travel side. And so they used to do, everybody got reevaluated. And just out of the sheer volume and the logistical challenges that came up, and then also, frankly, with COVID as well, they started doing kind of more what you're doing over at Southern Minnesota Select, where they try to do continual evaluations throughout the year so that you knew where you stood. And then tryouts would end up really only being for new players or those that needed like that additional day or two of assessment point. So I think it, worked from that standpoint that they're getting that continual evaluation, but the logistical challenge of trying to track everybody down was just a nightmare. And they're constantly asking for their eval or their feedback like 2 hours later, and, trying to meet deadlines. It was a lot. So something like TeamGenius would have been very helpful because, we were pretty much in spreadsheet / running papers to a tent kind of situation. So it was definitely not ideal.
And you highlighted an interesting kind of transition there. I know COVID changed a lot of things in everyone's lives, but just looking at our data, we've seen predominantly in soccer, people going from tryouts as that main evaluation period piece to now doing the ongoing evaluations. And it kind of backs into what Rick was sharing earlier in terms of, you don't have to apply that pressure. Kids won't be as nervous. We've got data that can support maybe a team placement decision or have a tough discussion with a parent or player. And there are other sports that are slowly moving that way. I think we're seeing that with hockey. We're seeing that with volleyball a lot more. Again, like we can't be judged on our performance on a single evaluation session. It's just not realistic. It's arguably not fair either.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add to that. Yeah, I think we saw much better results when, they were able to have the continuous evaluation period throughout the time. So, and, COVID changed a lot of things for a lot of us in youth sports, but it also changed some things for the better. And so I think at least at McLean, it highlighted that like we need to remove this pressure point and we really need to think differently about how we approach tryouts and player evaluation. So, it was but it would have been good to have something like TeamGenius to really help us track it along the way. Because even when we're doing a smaller pool, it's still complicated. So I think at this point, Robert, I think we might kick it on back on over to you for, kind of a introduction and a walkthrough here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for that great insight and great conversation and great questions, and just getting more to learn about real kind of life experiences and scenarios, and where all these things, elements you can apply and use in your club and your program as well. So thank you, Rick. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Annie, for that conversation. We will now switch it, kind of transition, and I'm going to introduce Elisa. Elisa is our developer advocate, and she will now go into a quick kind of introduction and showing a demonstration of TeamGenius and LeagueApps integration. So from here, Elisa, going to take it away. I'm going to unshare my screen and go ahead and kind of share your screen here. So right, here we go.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
So as Rob said, I'm the developer advocate here. I worked on the TeamGenius integration from the start. And so I'm really excited about it being useful now for a lot of organizations like Rick's. So this integration is really easy to set up, and it works with you for however you have your tryout set up. So everything I'm going to demo today is available in the support article, which you can find in our support center, and will be linked later in this presentation. And the only prerequisite that you actually need to set this all up is to be onboarded with TeamGenius. So the first thing that you'll want to do in order to set up the integration is you'll want to identify which programs you want to be accessed by the integration. So whatever your tryout programs are in your LeagueApps account, you'll need to add TeamGenius into the integration code field for those programs. So what that means is you'll select whatever program you want to connect, in this case, the spring softball program. And I'll go into settings, edit details, and then this field, integration code, needs to have TeamGenius selected. You can have other integrations selected too, but one of them does have to be TeamGenius. You can do this for standalone programs, or if you have a grouped program, you can just select TeamGenius from the master program level, and all of the sub-programs will be identified as applicable for the TeamGenius integration. So once you do that for all of your tryout programs in LeagueApps, you'll go over to the Integration Center, which you can find with the Connect icon and selecting Integration Center. What you see here are all of the published integrations that you can set up. Right now, we're just showing TeamGenius. So I would select the TeamGenius tile. If this were my first time setting up the integration, I would select Connect App. Because I already have it set up, I'll just show you what I see right here, which will look very similar to the first time you set it up. Craig, I see you're raising your hand. If you could pop that question in the Q&A, I can come to it at the end of the demo. So the first time you set it up, in order to pull in all of your TeamGenius information, you'll have to connect your TeamGenius account. All that means is you have to log in to your TeamGenius account using your username and password. The next thing you need to do is you have to connect your LeagueApps account. And this is a one-time setup process of getting a private API key from your API settings page. It's not a difficult process. You'll just have to do it one time, and we spell it out in the support article as well. So this only takes a few minutes to connect both of your accounts. And once you do that, you will see this section down here. This is like the meat of the integration. This is where you associate the LeagueApps programs with the TeamGenius assessments and player pools. So these are all called mappings, i.e. you map a program to an assessment and pool. In this first mapping, here you see there's two dropdowns. There's the left side dropdown for the LeagueApps programs and the right side for the TeamGenius assessments and pools. The left dropdown lists all of the LeagueApps programs that have TeamGenius selected in the integration code field. This first one, this Backyard Bonanza one, is a grouped program. So the master program name is first, and then 2 arrows, subprogram name. The next two are standalone programs. And so these are all of the programs that I have in this LeagueApps site that have TeamGenius selected in the integration code field. On the right side are all of my TeamGenius assessments and player pools, or the 30 most recently created assessments, and all of the pools within those assessments. So what I am doing right here is I'm associating each LeagueApps program with the TeamGenius assessment and pool. In this case, you see it's assessment, arrow, arrow, pool. So what I'll want to do is I select my Backyard Bonanza, Girls Backyard Bonanza Tryouts program, and then the associated pool and assessment that already exists in TeamGenius. So I just selected that from this drop-down list. If in the second example for Dodgeball Spring Tryouts, I already had an assessment in TeamGenius for Dodgeball, but I didn't have a player pool in it already. And so I selected the option for that assessment, new pool within it. So when the integration runs, a new player pool will be created in this pre-existing assessment. If you have a situation where you already have the LeagueApps program, but you don't have an assessment or pool to associate it to in your TeamGenius account, you can select new assessment, new pool from the drop-down list, this first option. And this selection will create a new assessment and new player pool in your TeamGenius account. And the names will be based on the program name that you selected in the left side dropdown. So I can always add and remove mappings here with this plus arrow, and I can delete them with that trash can. So I'll just do this. I only need to do this one time to set up. Every time there's a new tryout, I need to map over. So I'll save these selections, and every 30 minutes, this integration will run by default every 30 minutes on a sync cycle. So every 30 minutes, data from every registration in these 3 selected programs will be sent over to the associated TeamGenius assessment and player pool. So I'll hop on over to my TeamGenius account. As you can see, I have a lot of assessments, but I'm only going to look at the softball assessment. So here is softball spring 2022 tryouts. And if I go into player check-in, the integration already ran, the sync ran. Here are the 2 players that were in my LeagueApps softball spring 2022 program. So briefly going back to softball spring 2022, there's John Smith and Jenny Smith. And here in TeamGenius, I changed the name, sorry. It should say John Smith and Jenny Smith, but these are the 2 players that were on this associated TeamGenius, this associated LeagueApps program that are now in this TeamGenius assessment and pool. The only thing that I need to do is select a player number. This is the only thing that needs to be done before they can be evaluated by a coach on the field. And so I will just type in, usually like the day of the tryout, I type in whatever the player number is for this player. And now they're all ready to be evaluated by a coach on the field. So I have the player name, I have the parent email, I have their birthday, and I have their gender. So every time the integration runs, every 30 minutes, any new registration coming in to softball spring 2022 on LeagueApps will show up in this assessment and pool. So that is everything that you need to know for setting up the integration. I think I'll kick it back to Rob.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that demo, Alyssa. That was amazing. Can I give you more hands-on feel for that process and really kind of walk through our participants and what that looked like. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to reshare my screen here. And following up with that, I want to share some additional resources with all the participants that are here today. And so one moment as I kind of set that up, but what we're going to be sharing here, I'll walk you through what those resources are, and it'll be placed ideally within your chat window. So I'm going to share this first one out here, which is looking at how to set up your organizations using TeamGenius integration. So in order to set up the TeamGenius integration, you want to first schedule an onboarding call with our team and to kind of get that process going. We also place the link to where you would fill out the form, and you'd be able to connect with one of our with TeamGenius to help you get that all set up. We also have, if you have an existing account with TeamGenius and you would like to connect with the LeagueApps site, we can also contact Chris Bowen from TeamGenius. We will place his email and that you see here are displayed on the screen within the chat, so you can reach out and kind of start in that process as well. And then once you're all connected, we'll also follow up with a guide that help you kind of walk through more of that process as well. And give me just one moment, I will share that with everyone here within the chat as well. So you'll have access to that. So as you're going through the presentation, remember to check your chat window for all those amazing resources that we're sharing here for you to have access to and help you navigate through this process of setting it up with your program. So with that, I also want to open up for at this moment, open up the floor for any, there are some additional resources I want to share. One more, sorry. Well, we also have some additional webinars that we'll be continuing to conduct. So join us on July 27th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for our Provide a Better Coach, Parents, and Player Experience with LeagueApps mobile webinar. This is super exciting. We're kind of launching a new mobile platform. This is a really exciting time for our program, our product, and our service that we're providing. We'll be diving into more of a new mobile app enhancements with a live demonstration, and we'll also discuss on how these features can help you provide a better experience to your members. So keep an eye out for more information in terms of emails and some reminders coming up with some upcoming webinars when it comes to our Play mobile app. So now at this moment, we will open the floor up for any questions that you may have within our LeagueApps team, within our integrations team, with Rick as well in regards to his program. So I saw some hands that were raised in the Q&A, some things like that. So we'll give a moment for any participants. If you have questions, you can drop them in the chat or drop them in the Q&A, and we will try to answer them in real time best we can right here. And while we're maybe waiting for those questions, I do thank everyone that was here today for great insight and kind of having a great conversation and discussions and about your process. Again, I want to thank Rick for joining us today. I want to thank Chris for providing some great insight and great conversations, and of course Annie for sharing her experiences and how she's used some of these features within LeagueApps as well, and of course Alyssa for an amazing demo and walkthrough of our integrations process as well. So we'll give a few more moments for any questions. And in the meantime, if you guys want to make any comments before we wrap up, or while we wait for any questions. Oh, looks like we do have one question, or there's more. Okay, they're coming in. They're coming in. So I think it's like a question or comment, but this is from Frank. He says, I've been involved with youth baseball since 1986. I'm 61 years old, and we use LeagueApps. He's a little bit lost, and there's a way to get a one-on-one rep to help with some of the more kind of intricate things in regarding to, I guess, program setup. You guys have any maybe insight on our process with that and how we can help Frank have a little more one-on-one experience? I think he's responding.
Frank, we'd love to have a conversation with you. Let's see if we can get your email address and see if we can maybe set up a call. I'm not sure which organization you're a part of, but if you're not yet using TeamGenius, we'd love to see if it might be the right fit, learn more about what your evaluation process is, and then see if we can help guide you on that front. So the nice thing with TeamGenius is it's very flexible depending on your exact evaluation kind of setup, what you need to achieve, and how often the players need to be evaluated. So let's see if we can tee up a call and we can connect offline from there.
And then from the LeagueApp side, Frank, I saw in the chat says that you do currently use us. So yes, we can follow up with you on the LeagueApp side so that you're taken care of on both fronts.
All right, we got you, Frank. Anything you may need, we'll help you with that process. Thank you all for that. We also have, I think this is more of a TeamGenius kind of focused question, but we have Jason. The question is, are the individual evaluations of a single input, or does it take an aggregate or averages of multiple users' input on the same data set? And then this is i.e. 3 coaches evaluating 1 player, for example.
Yeah, great question, Jason. The typical by default setting is we take the average, so of those 3 coaches evaluating in your example. That said, we do have other scoring settings where you can drop the lowest score, drop the best and lowest score. It's quite flexible, but the most common is we'll take the average of all the evaluators' scores to get an answer for that criteria.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Hopefully that answers your question, Jason. It gives you more insight on how to kind of a solution in regards to that. And then another question, I guess a follow-up question Jason has, I guess, in regards to that is, can you rank each coach's input with biases?
Yeah, so another great question there, Jason. We have the ability to weight individual evaluators' scores. You can even weight the criteria differently, weight each scoring form, or even day of each assessment differently as well. So lots of flexibility. Typically, we'd love to show you those kind of examples on a demonstration, if that makes sense, and kind of better understand what you do and see how it might fit into how the TeamGenius software works.
That sounds awesome. Jason says thank you for that insight and response, and maybe we're looking forward to kind of giving a walkthrough, a demonstration, and kind of helping you find that solution that you need for your program. So thank you so much for those very intricate, kind of detailed kind of responses. That's why we have the team here to help kind of support. So these webinars are great to kind of help facilitate some of those questions you may have as we're having these kind of open conversations. And looks like we have a few more questions and comments coming in. I'm gonna read through it really quick. This one's from Robert. And this question is directed to Coach Rhone, or Rick Rhone. Regarding your 2-day tryouts, what kind of assistance or resistance do you get from neighboring clubs? Like, do you cooperate on tryout days, on times? Like, how does that flow with other programs within your space?
Great question. Do we get cooperation? No, not really. Do we get resistance? I don't think we get any resistance. I personally try to play nice. My personal belief is, as long as the kids are playing soccer somewhere, that's all I care about. Would I like them to be playing for my club instead of somebody else's club? Yeah, absolutely. There's nobody's going to tell you differently on that. Everybody wants them playing for your club. What I try to do is see when the other club is doing their tryouts, or I'm sure they try to see when I'm doing my tryouts and stuff. But I try to schedule them within a couple week time frame. This gives the players an opportunity to try out for one or both clubs and to see which is the best fit for them. So in this case, the big club that's next to us, or close proximity to us, their tryouts were this past weekend, and my tryouts are on August 3rd and 4th. It's within a 2-week time frame and stuff. Most clubs give players 2 to 3 weeks to make up a decision which club they want to go play for. So I try to be cognizant of that, and I try to give the players an opportunity to go to pick what they think is best for them. So I don't get assistance and I don't get resistance either way and stuff. So, but for me, I like to play nice.
It's always good. Teamwork makes the dream work. And I think that's a great point, just giving people, players the time to, ahead scheduled notice, and just giving them the flexibility that they need to do whatever it is that they want to, kind of try out for, and give them so many options, more options and more chances to do what they love and be great. So we have some additional questions. I think I saw Craig's hand go up earlier within our demo. His question in regards to TeamGenius, does the TeamGenius provide variances from evaluator to evaluator?
Great question there, Craig. I mean, every question is a great question, right? So with that, Craig, you can get so granular so that if I've been evaluated on, say, my passing ability, for example, I can see exactly what each coach has scored for that specific individual, and how that impacts their overall ranking. So yeah, if it makes sense to jump on a call to show you and the team how to get that granular with the data, let us know, and we can put a call on the calendar.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you so much, Chris. And that's exactly why we provide those links within the chat. So follow up with those links, those resources to connect with Chris and the team, and to kind of walk through some additional process if you have more questions after today's webinar. And then I think to follow up with Frank's earlier question, I think when it comes to kind of starting and creating a TeamGenius integration on the LeagueApps side, what level of access do you need in terms of an administrator to enter and to kind of run all this information?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And since I saw it in the Q&A, I've been trying to figure that out myself. No one's ever asked this question before. I know for sure admins of multiple levels can access the integration center. I'm just not sure what the lowest common denominator is. So I will figure that out and add that information to the support article once I know it.
And
Awesome.
Frank, just to follow up to that question, are you asking about setting up the actual integration, or you're talking about using TeamGenius on the field in the app? Because that's a much wider pool of people. So that's a bit of a follow-up question.
Yeah, we give maybe Frank might need some time to kind of respond to that. But we also have, I think, provided us with some info to reach out and kind of help you with some additional questions you may have, Frank. So if you have the ability to write that in the Q&A, definitely let us know. We can provide a little more detail in terms of that response for you. But we will also kind of follow up with some additional resources with you as well. And
sorry, Rob. I'm just going to jump right back in. I did figure it out. You have to be a site manager or above in order to access the integration center.
Okay, the site manager or above access in order to access that data and input that data. All right, so we are on it. We are here to help. I'm here to walk you through anything that you may need. We have a great collection of skill and experience and talent here on this webinar. So very exciting to see these questions facilitated right here. We have a comment from Rick who says, I am a coach at East Valley Youth Baseball with Frank. We have access to very key specific to our LeagueApps site. So it looks like you guys working together. So hello, Rick, welcome. And great to see, kind of teamwork coming together here to solve these solutions here. All right. Well, these are some great conversations. Like we were saying, like Chris was saying, every question is a great question. Some really great scenarios and really great insight, and some questions that that we're kind of tackling here on the fly as well. So we love that conversations with open space. That's why these webinars are so fun and so great. Just get to talk directly to the individuals using these products and these services as well.
Yeah. I just before we jump off here, Frank and Rick, to this conversation here, that's why we have levels of access. And so not every member is going to have access to all of this information. So as Elisa said, site member and above can set up this integration, but then depending on what you want to do and how you handle things at your organization, you can determine your level of access. And then this integration will obviously work across with TeamGenius, who has, will follow the same protocols. So this is not open season for everybody to just access your data. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're just making it easier to evaluate players on the field and their information. But again, those admin access rights are still there.
Thank you so much. And provide more detail in regards to that. It looks like we don't have any more questions coming in as of right now. Of course, we'll be looking out. We'll also be, following up as well. Keep in mind there will be available access to the recording of this webinar, so we'll be able to, follow up with this, webinar and information that was shared at a later time today. Definitely want to thank everyone that was here, starting with our participants. Thank you for joining our webinar. Thank you for allowing us, to kind of having these open conversations and questions here. I want to thank Annie, of course, from LeagueApps. I want to thank Chris from TeamGenius, Rick Rhone. Amazing work that you're doing with your club, and keep it going. And we're here to support. And thank you, Alyssa, for that amazing walkthrough and demo as well of our integrations. And with that, I want to just say thank you again. And there's a survey kind of walking us through how it's helpful for you, so we can try to make these webinars better and better each time. So again, thank you all for joining. We look forward to seeing you again on our future webinars. The next webinar we'll be having very shortly is kind of focused around our Play mobile app. So looking forward to that and look for more resources in regards to that webinar coming out. So again, thank you all for joining us here today, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.